Welcome back to another episode of The Conversation. I'm Nubrato. Last few months, we had a chance to talk to some local mayoral candidates. This time, we're going to talk to some council at large candidates, and I'm here with a good friend of mine and a good person running for council at large, Tina Cardoso. Tina, first and foremost, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Nubi. It's always a pleasure to be here.
So, Tina, this is your second time going around running for office. You ran for Ward 3 a couple of years ago. Now you're running for at large. You have a slogan. I want you to tell us your slogan and what does it mean? And kind of tell us, who is Tina Cardoso?
So my slogan, my story is our story. So basically what it means is I understand the issues in the city as a mother, as a nurse, and someone who founded a nonprofit organization that works on violence prevention in the city. I understand a lot of what people are going through. So when I say my story is our story, what that means is I've been through some hurdles, I've had some challenges. I know firsthand what it's like to raise kids in this city and to graduate 3 kids from Brockton High and all the challenges there. And I just want people to know that I get it. I get them. And that's everyone, not just, Cape Verdeans or Haitians or, Hispanics. It's all of us together. We all have similar struggles in the city. We've all raised children here, and we know the challenges, and we know what we want for our city. Everyone wants a brighter Brockton, not just a few of us, all of us. And we want to be able to live together and to, feel safe and to, make sure our kids are getting quality education and all of that. And I know firsthand what that's like. So when I say that, that's what I mean by that. It's just that I know the challenges and I can relate.
So in terms of running for council at large, talk about some of the things that you would like to accomplish. If you get into office, they always say the mayor is the CEO and the council at large is the board of directors. What are some things you'd like to accomplish if you're able to capture that seat?
Well, absolutely. I love to look at everything through the lens of education and prevention. So I really want us to focus more on education in the city because I think it's the key to everything. So making sure our schools are funded, making sure that we have enough pre-K programs so that our parents can work more. Because then if our parents are working more, that leads to economic independence. You know what I mean? So focus on education, educating recent immigrants so they know how to assimilate, know how to access resources, know how to stay involved in the schools, more ESL programs, help parents learn English. So education is key. I feel like if we want safer streets and we want Brockton to be safer, we have to look at everything through the lens of education and then prevention. So I'd like to do a lot of that, especially through the nonprofit work that I've done. I've developed, some skills there on how to, offer culturally appropriate programs so that we're capturing all of our residents and making sure they're all getting information, important information, disseminating information appropriately in the appropriate languages. That's all going to help all of us in the community to be informed and to participate and to, help our youth so that we're engaging with them and helping them. So I think education would be a big focus for me. Public safety also, we really need to look at that. In law enforcement, making sure we have enough police officers and making sure we're deploying the police appropriately. Are they getting out of their cars? Are they interacting with community members? Speaking of
that, I do actually ask you questions. A few weeks ago, there was some incidents that went on at Brockton High with some fights that went outside the school as well. And there's some ugly situations with the police officers, and obviously there's two sides to every story, but it didn't look too good. Just what would you do to improve? You mentioned education, you mentioned public safety, and that was kind of what came together a few weeks ago with a few fights that broke out. What would you do to improve community and police relations?
Well, Nubi, this is a nationwide issue. It's not just a Brockton issue. Every time you turn on the TV, there's, you've done documentaries, for Christ's sake, so you know firsthand that this is a nationwide issue that we have to tackle. We cannot have our kids, being afraid of police officers. They should feel like police officers are there to protect them. not to hurt them. So how do we do that? How do we build better relationships? Again, I go back to getting the police out of their cars. You know, in Boston, they have bike units, they have motorcade, that type of thing. We need to have them more present, because I feel like that will deter crime and it'll also help build relationships. So we need to have them more present in the community and around our youth, you know, so that they're interacting with the youth and helping to relieve some of those anxieties and those tensions around police officers that they see every day on internet and, you know, on social media and on the TV and everything. So I really feel like we can do it. We can definitely build better relationships. I feel like the police officers could get more training on culturally appropriate methods of handling people in a diverse community, because we've become so diverse. So they really need training and retraining on how to deal with the dominant, you know, culture that's in the city. And I think that would help a lot.
Absolutely. So. You know, it's funny. I was in Boston talking to officers. You know, one thing I've always liked to see if it was implemented is officers go through trauma as well, in sort of seeing something, you know, things we probably wouldn't want to see every day. And when you're curious if they had access to, you know, seeing a counselor or something like that, or, you know, someone for their own mental health.
Right.
You know, you might see a body one day, you might see, you know, some domestic violence the next day, and you go home and act like everything's supposed to be, you know, normal.
They're definitely traumatized. You know, my brother's a police officer. I have cousins who are police officers, so I have a lot of law enforcement in my family. So I understand both sides. You know, it's not an easy job. They're putting their life on the line every day. They're seeing things that we may not ever see in our lives. Right. So there's definitely trauma on that end, and our kids are traumatized from witnessing everything. Every time they turn on the TV, they see someone that looks like them that's getting, you know, hurt by a police officer or even killed. So we have a lot of work to do by way of preventing these things from happening, and definitely addressing the trauma and being in tune with the people that you're serving would definitely help. And we have to be sensitive as residents to the police as well as to what they go through. So
talk about what separates you. I mean, you know, I think you know, I always say you're in the caring industry, you know, as a nurse, and then you run a very successful nonprofit. Let's talk about, you know, there's a lot of good candidates running, but what separates you from the rest?
Well, there really are good candidates, and I'm really encouraged that we're having, 2 years ago when I ran, there were a few minority candidates that ran, and then that has kind of grown. We had like 15 people come out this time around, so that's encouraging. I think of that as a positive, because people are paying attention. Even today I posted how people call me, they ask, who's my ward counselor, where do I vote, you know, Tina, who should I vote for, what are the issues? People are paying attention, especially our youth. A lot of young people are paying attention now. So everything that we've done, Nubi, has been, for the last 4 years, has really been just the beginning. You know what I mean? So I'm really encouraged. Like, win or lose, we've already won, because people in the city are paying attention. They're excited. They're volunteering. They're asking questions. They want change, and they're recognizing what the issues are, and they're trying to think of solutions. So that's a really good thing. So we have great candidates. What separates me is I've been doing it. I've already been serving the city through my nonprofit work, through my career. I've already been doing this work, and I think that I bring in a lot of experience. I've been a nurse for over 22 years. I raised 3 kids here in the city that all graduated from Brockton High and went on to do some really good things. And so I bring that experience. I sit on a zoning board. I voted on a couple of developments in the city, so I've gained some experience there over the past couple of years. So I do bring in that experience. I bring in that cultural piece. I bring in that connection to the community. I'm already doing this work. I'll continue to do the work, even long past, you know, the campaign. So I think that that's a key element to, when you go to the voting booth, to think about that someone that's already been here doing the work and can relate to everyone in the city pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely, you know, kudos to you for running, and it takes a lot of toll on you, the family. So, you know, so it's definitely, to do it twice,
right?
You know, definitely kudos to you. And there's a lot of great candidates running, so it's exciting.
It
It's
is
a good time.
exciting. It's exciting. And then, Nubi, it really is tough. So a lot of times when you hear negativity, negative comments, it's like it takes a toll on you because you're like, I'm getting up every day and I'm doing this. I don't get paid to do this. I still have to work my job. I still have to take care of my kids. I have to take care of my, my significant other, my partner, all of that, pay my bills. And I'm running this race, and it's like people need to understand it's very challenging, it's difficult, so we have to respect the candidates that take that initiative to do this, because it's not easy. So
Question: do you think it was mentioned in the debates? Do you think a city councilor should be a full-time position? You mentioned about juggling different things. Should it be full-time?
that was mentioned, and I think I would seriously consider it if we had if we were able to pay for it. That's the thing.
Right.
We don't want to hurt any taxpayers' pockets because we're already overstretched. But it would definitely be good to have full-time people on the council.
The way Boston does it.
Yeah,
It's not even just the cost of the council. You figure you got to hire an assistant.
You got to
and
hire,
things like that. And then health insurance and things like that.
All that stuff. So we really have to look into that. But maybe down the line, in the future.
We'll see. I mean, it's a big city, but I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I wish you the best of luck. You're working hard out there, campaigning. Out there, knocking on doors and doing great things. So wish you the best. And either way, I know you're still gonna be part of the community.
Absolutely, I love Brockton, and I'm here to stay, and I'm gonna do what I can to affect change. And if nothing else, me being a woman. A woman of color, hopefully that inspires other women of color to come out and to run for local office. I think it's an important thing to do, and just women in general. I think it's our time too right now to get up and support our communities, and this is a great way. It's not easy, but it's a good way to do that.
I mean, I think it's a wave of it's really cool. With Ayanna Pressley and AOC and all the work that Hillary Clinton did for years. That glass ceiling is finally being broken, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So that's Tina Cardoso. Remind you guys to vote November 5th. If you don't vote, don't complain. That's it for the conversation. We'll be with more candidates in the future. So thanks again for joining us, and good luck.
Thank you, Nuvi. Thanks for having me.